Another stormy night, huh, little one? Another stormy night, Arito. Here it comes. Stormy night, Arito. Nice, calm, stormy night. Keep those hornets out of here. Good evening, everybody. Alyssa, Space Jezel, Ryan, Sargento, Sam, Cindy, Purple Queen. What's up? Hi, everybody. What a wacky day it's been. It rained a little bit earlier, then it stopped. Now it's back. But this looks like it's actually going to continue for a little bit of tonight. Ari's out there getting soaked. What are you doing, Ari? I'm getting wet out there, huh? When you got the biggest, I don't usually talk about everybody else that does the streaming thing, but when you've got Josh and Jenna out there on Friday nights, there's no point in going out there fighting it all, fighting against the tide. I had a good time today watching, as I always do. I was watching Pat today, and he was talking about just kind of like all the other streamers. Good conversation he was having. Just about like the differences in everybody's thing, and how many people there are, and how many people there were, and it was very, you tell the man that's done his work. KP, how's the universal lifestyle treating you? KP, she's a good example too. There's a lot of good examples. I've gotten to know a lot of people over the years who've had so many different levels of success in terms of content creation. I think often it's interesting to think that like what we do is any different than the next gang of content creators, but really whether you vlog or you live stream or you do prank videos or you make like whatever the hell it is. I mean, YouTube's such a huge game, not just YouTube but TikTok, and everything is such a big game. Content creation is such a vast field. In a lot of ways, it's like kind of similar to just being an artist. You can be an artist in so many different ways. Art, sculpture, even in art, like painting, chalk, so many different like styles. Music is art. Food, culinary arts, like it's just a big category of people. And I was listening to Pat today, and I had a good little moment of where I constantly think to myself, it's interesting that JoJo seemed, and a credit to him, he got the million people, but it's such a niche community. Even that, if you were to think of like the amount of people that have 500,000 or more, which I think is, a million's kind of, that's a big number. Communities that have, like if you look at the gaming community, so much of the gaming community has, the thriving gaming community is not the people with millions and millions, it's the people with hundreds of thousands. And I'm fortunate that I get to talk to Jenna every day, and I get to watch. She'll have 1 million subs by the end of the year. So it's interesting to sit, to watch that. But it's also interesting to me that it seems like at the end of the day, it really comes down to like what you're doing. I'm constantly watching people like Mr. Beast. Like, think about Mr. Beast, guy's the biggest channel in the world. Like, what's interesting is, let me put it this way. And again, I hopefully will be hanging out with Pat more often and being able to have this kind of conversations, because he kind of sparked my, I don't know if he's out there. I mean, I used to be able to, anyway, I used to have quick communication to Pat. I don't necessarily, his phones are a little wacky nowadays when it comes to that kind of text and stuff. Or I'd tell him, I'd be like, hey man, come in, because I'm going to give you some credit in terms of jumping on a topic that you were talking about today. I was thinking to myself, like, when I watch Josh do these little breakdowns of, like, the community, like he did one about vlogging versus live streaming, or he did another one before that. There's two videos that he's released, and kind of an update on his life, kind of a real talk somewhat. They're almost real talk in a way. It was funny listening to him because he was talking about Mr. Beast and stuff like that. He was like the Mr. Beast of the world and blah, blah, blah. When you hear me talk about it, I'm like, oh, the people that inspired me, the Casey Neistats, the Peter McKinnons, the Q Parks, the Philip DeFrancos. Wow, it's great. The PewDiePies, the XQCs, the Ludwigs, the Ninjas. Like, I don't know, even Mark Robinson, like, all these guys that got Discovery Channel shows now, it's like, I don't know what the point of, it really got me thinking. Sometimes I just don't, if I wasn't on the journey to 1,000 days and I was still stuck in a mindset of like, get more subscribers, get your content out to more people, try to play the YouTube game, you know what I mean? I think that would be even more difficult than what I'm doing now. So it was actually kind of humbling, because I realized, I was like, whether you have 1 million or 100 subscribers, as long as what you're doing is what you want to be doing, or there's a goal to it, an end game, then it's worthwhile. Because if not, you're almost in this quagmire of like, all right, so say let's put you in the position. Whoa, that was close. Say you're in the position of like, you love Disney. You watch a bunch of Disney channels. You're like, man, I would love to go to Disney. And I would love to vlog there. I'd love to live stream there. All right. So you've got tons of examples of that. You've got OG people. Oh my God, I'll get a spider. All right, get it. Oh, get it. I don't want that thing on me. Get out of here, bro. You could vlog. You could live stream. You've got options. All right. John, check your messages about Susie. She wants to open the gift with you during Community Day tomorrow. So message her. I sent you guys each other's information. Also, if anybody sees Bobby Krause pop up, she needs to talk to you. Show the storm. All right. All right. You have fun? So anyway, back to what I was saying. Say you were somebody like that was starting in this community. I'm going to give you examples as we go along the way. This is my, like, if I were to just give you my synopsis, right? First of all, in kind of a Josh-like way in terms of he kind of went back down memory lane. He had been doing it for a long time, right? So it was good to hear that. But I know the history because I've spent the time looking at it. I know how this all evolved into what it is. So let's take a trip back, shall we? Let's go back 10 years, 15 years. YouTube is brand new. Pierce with this PayPal. Thank you, sir. We got lightning on top of it. Sorry, that doesn't scare you. Look at this. She's like... Oh, my little storm dog. What's up, storm dog, huh? I would take you back down memory lane. YouTube has just started. There's other things, Bandicam, all kinds of different sites that exist for putting up your videos. MySpace comes a little bit before that as well. It wasn't a large video format thing. But there were vlogs that existed on blog pages. There were vlogs that were uploaded to like diary pages. Vlogging. Alright, so vlogging starts, first person to decide, I'm going to go to Disney World and start vlogging. Hey, I like Priscilla and Edwin's new, that's a good tag, El Cubano and Disney, that's great. Or La Cubana, sorry, I did the mix up there. El Cubano, La Cubana. Tim Tracker grabs his camera, he decides, I'm going out there and I'm going to shoot some videos, right? Alongside Tim, Adam the Woo, and Backdoor Disney. Also early guys, okay? We're talking, those guys are technically Backdoor Disney guys, but Hooch, the guy, you know, early dudes, right, who were recording this stuff on their cameras. We're talking World of Motion, old school, the dawn of all this stuff, right? These guys are out here and they're just kind of using the parks as a backdrop to their daily lives, you know. They're doing other stuff, but they're trying to show you that there's like Disney as well. So you flash forward to what's basically about 2015, 16. Tim, a lot of other people, Main Street Moments, Happiest Vlogs on Earth, Michael K. I mean, credit to them. Corey, Josh, Jenna, Tanya, Jen. Very few people out there content creating. Nate, even back then, Nate had like 10,000 subs, 15,000 subs. Dev, Braden. It was a very DSNY newscast, Jack. There was also a couple other people who like weren't as in the community, I would say, as everybody else was, but the community started to evolve into this thing that was like, there were people of all kinds of levels in it. You know, people with 100 subs, 200 subs, 1,000, 10,000. And then people started like really picking up. Like the credit to even the people that I don't like and do like. Braden, Josh, Jenna, Dev, Nate, their channels pick up. They turn into these bigger channels on the platform of what is Disney content creation. In the midst of all that, I get to come into sit at the table, even if it's at the kiddie side of it, and get to observe a little bit. I get to see a ton of people start channels, blow by me, including so many of my friends. I mean, come on, let's just think about it. I mean, Anthony's going to pass us any day now. Crystal, months ago. Pat, years ago. Even people I have gotten in, like, that I don't like. Theme Park Explorers, that guy that I, had that disagreement with over Harmonious that night and was not as, like, even people like Corey, that I really openly kind of dislike. Not Corey Meets World and Corey, but Corey was way ahead of me. I'm talking Corey living in Diz. I helped those guys. I got to see so many people just blow by me. Eva and Marky Mouse. Like, I got to, Chris from Ear to Ear Magic. I mean, holy God. How about Jeff from Diz Our Dream? Like, I remember meeting Chris from Ear to Ear Magic at Universal back when he was just kind of had nothing going on, and now he's like top 5, maybe top 3, like in terms of viewership. I don't know what people measure this stuff by, but if you go in concurrent viewership, which I think is the most important thing by far in terms of the streaming world, if you are streaming for just the sake of streaming, you're not doing a Mr. Beast again where like you're just trying to read the alphabet or read the dictionary in alphabetical order, like do weird stuff like that. If you're not, I don't know. It should be concurrent viewership if you don't have some other plan. If you have these kind of people that have, I mean, literally blown, and it's been cool because I've gotten to see nowadays this explosion of everybody doing it. Everybody. Not just people, and I love this term that Pat uses all the time. Again, I'm going to give credit to Josh, credit to Pat, the people that I've been listening to the past few weeks talk about this stuff. The 49ers, the other people, as he calls them, I suppose I could use that term as well because I would be -1, he's -1, the 49ers, right? The other people that are doing this, that are on that list of StreamFinder, which again, StreamFinder is just a list that not even everybody knows about. I love that guy, a lot of credit to him, and I like the stuff he says about me, and I say nice things about him too, but it's no means like, it could eventually become this Academy Award level thing where we're all trying to, but I don't think it quite has that level of recognition. But those people on that list are a good picture of what Disney World has to offer in terms of streaming. But it's not just those people. And it's not just a couple of those people. And it's not just who you click on who's live in the park. There are people who got their grandma on the phone. And their little sister. And that's 2 people that they're streaming to. Or they've got 1 person. Or there's 4 people that they're streaming to. Or, get this, they're so under the radar that they've only got 4 or 5 or 6 people watching them, and they are on a platform. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. There are so many people streaming all the time, no matter what you want to consider it. We are all technically doing the same thing. Josh and Jenna tonight are out there trying to show people Epcot, as they've done many, many times, in the crisp quality with a great chat and good energy. And there are also people that are streaming to their grandma, their grandpa, and their cousin and they're going to FaceTime them for like 3 hours tonight or an hour tonight during the fireworks and afterward or on a ride. However it goes. They're doing the same thing. Oh my God, look at this. Isn't this cool? Isn't this cool? Showing somebody who's not there what is there, right? And to an extent, if we all shut our mouths and we just hit the button, then we'd all be doing the exact same thing. So it's really all about what you're bringing to the table in terms of your conversations, in terms of what you find exciting about being where you are. And if Disney's where you are, then typically the people that you want to see are the people who are enthused. Back to Pat's point, he made a great point today about Ron, who I think is a great guy. I've seen in the parks a lot. What about a year from now? Is that guy going to want to stand in lines for like 40 minutes all day long? I would have in the beginning. Not anymore. I mean, I did it a little bit yesterday, but like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I've watched everybody hit a plateau. And nobody gets to go away from that. Nobody. Only maybe Corey from Corey Meets World, because he streams just that one time a week, and even he used to shoot vlogs and do a whole lot more stuff than he does now. I think everybody's hit a plateau. Nate continues to be the shining beacon in the community of what it is to really be growing into something that's bigger than just being the next name in Disney. Nate's going out there having real life experiences on the back of this journey and growing into a better, and I'm sure he'd agree with this, a better man. Not that he was ever a bad person. He's just, I'm sure, more confident, more at home in his content creation than he was trying to balance it, trying to come up to where now he can have these types of things, like this great relationship with, the Vault collection thing that he wears all the shirts, great relationship with Disney. Oh, I hate getting bit out here. God damn it, Ari. Come save me from all these spiders and ants. They hurt. He's been able to piggyback that into something that's bigger. But I feel like everybody else has hit a plateau, and not in terms of their growth, but in terms of them wanting to be there. Nate wants to be there, so he's there all the time. That's why he's constantly finding that drive to be. If you look at people like Dev, as soon as Disney cut, his again, maybe you could say Josh and Jenna too, because Josh and Jenna, definitely after 10 plus years, I mean, being out there like that is not easy. But everybody else, I mean, think about it. Everybody else has hit some kind of plateau with being in the park. I mean, again, Pat, genius guy that he's able to do something that's not only future-proof, but allows him to not have to go to the park. Except for when he of course, if he wanted, and when he does go, I'm sure he has a great time as I watch his streams. But even he, who was at one point all the time, now would say if it's easier to not be there, which it by far is after you've been there for long enough, why not do it a different way? So I think that you've seen even Tim have moments of stepping back. Adam certainly stepping away from Disney. You see people like Tanya, who I think have great runs and then go quiet for a while. You have people like Jen, who have great runs and then go quiet for a while. You have Chris, a guy who has great runs and then goes quiet for a while. It just seems to be the pattern. So it's good to not be that guy. It's good to not go quiet. You don't want to go quiet. You don't want to go dark. But what you do want to do is, again, do something ingenious and inventive like Pat did. Or, again, like Josh and Jenna do, where you have split the teamwork and you can get out there, or you have the West Coast crew that can stream sometimes. You've got better, bigger ideas than everybody else. Because even if you look at Michael, I mean, who was literally my initiative of doing all this. I saw Michael K. I said that I could do what that guy does, and I would love to. He lost the love for Disney about the same time I did, and he stepped away way harder than I did. You know what I mean? Way harder than I did. And you couldn't, if you go back and you watch our vlogs, you know, I mean, his early vlogs, my early vlogs, there's a passion for being down here that had faded from both of our lives. But the difference is that he stepped away from Disney almost kind of completely. He's there, here, and there, but it, again, just didn't. It's interesting. It happens to everybody, no matter how much you love this place, no matter how much you adore it. Is it, as Pat so eloquently put it, is it sustainable? How long can you sustain it? So again, just credit to those guys. They gave me a lot to sit around as I've been cleaning the house this week and listen to some great conversations. And I think that for me, personally, I continue to just lean into where I'm at. I like what everybody's saying, but I mean, I know that the secret right now would be to upload 10 shorts a day, use the most trending songs, use the most trending hashtags, and any of us could have 100,000 YouTube subs within the next 6 months. Any of us. It's just, I don't know what any of that means. I mean, I like that I'm uploading shorts right now. I like that they get a little bit of attention. I like that they're kind of picking up the views that slack from the streams when I'm not out there. That's nice to see. I like to see that consistency, and it is getting us a few new faces here and there. But I think to really push it, you have to push it hard, and I don't know what the result would be. You know, I think in so many ways, when I'm done with this 1,000-day journey, that it would be so much better to go back and reassess what it makes sense to do on YouTube. I love Legos, and I'll always do it as a side thing. I like Disney, and I'll always do it as a thing. But really, the reality is, I should be gaming online. Like every other person with a brain, I should be gaming online, because that's where everybody finds the magic juice. And it's just harder to break into. But I think, like anything, the more grounded and focused you are on it, the easier it is to pierce the veil. The sharper you are, the easier it is to get in. You get a little dull as you continue to do the same thing all the time, you know? The sharper you are, the easier it is to pierce into the veil. So anyway, Ari, come here. Just my 2 cents. It was very cool to, I mean, Pat, he's always been vocal, and I like that. That's why Pat's, always been a good friend of mine, and I will always look to him in terms of his intelligence. But I was very curious to see Josh drop a couple of those videos. I thought that was very cool. I gotta tell you, I was like, how about that? Not the guy I would have thought to seen this from. Look at the rainbow, Ari. Isn't that cute? After the rain comes the rainbow. Melissa, hello? So anyway, you've had all these people on. That's right. Yeah, you have, of course. Yeah. And again, you've done a great job at it, Anthony. As I said, I don't have my second phone out here. I'd be checking for Pierce's PayPal that he said he sent in. I can tell you that I thank him for it. Amy, how you doing? So anyway, I'm not going to keep you guys for long. I didn't have much to say. It's a stormy night. It's been storming on and off. I had fun at Magic yesterday. Bummer that the DVC sticker went missing. You need a balance. Yeah, really what I need is just... I think I'd be certainly I'd be a liar if I said to myself that if Ari was able to come to the park with me 100% confidently on both of our ends, that I wouldn't be in the parks a lot more than I am right now. I have to tell you that on a day like today where I get up and I would have usually just gotten out of bed with a drive to go and get my ass to Disney, right? And I would have done it. But now I'm like, well, first things first is we gotta eat. Okay, now we gotta go to the dog park, and I don't want to rush her, so we're there forever. And the longer we're there, the more I'm like, well, there's a lot of stuff I got to do at home today. You know, I could bring her home and just hang out with her because I just feel bad. You know, I waited my whole life for a little Shiba puppy. We have a good time when we're here at the house. We play, we wrestle, and mess around. Sit here and watch the storm together. Yeah, I feel bad if she was locked in her cage right now listening to all this. Just like, now she gets to sit here, wet butt, enjoying herself, licking the ground, staring off into the distance. I don't know, but I think that within, you know, obviously we're going to get her into the park. So when Jenna's here, Ari's going to take her first trip to Epcot. And we'll go from there. Ari is going to come to the park with me and Jenna. We'll go to Epcot one day. We're going to get her Spirit jersey. We're going to get her a little bag from Mitsukoshi. How'd the magnet situation turn out? Oh, they told me to kick rocks. I'll talk about it another day when I'm streaming. First, I gotta go and talk to guest services and see what they say, because maybe everybody tells me to kick rocks, but maybe I'd be presumptuous to say, maybe somebody will actually care. If not, then yeah, I'll just talk about it in a couple of days. I have an extra one. That's, like I said a million times, the good part. So the magnet's already back on the car, looking good. Need some adhesive. I'm gonna glue that thing on there. I had some super glue last night. I almost did it, believe me. But then I thought, man, I don't know. I might want to like, before I pull a move like that, get that car detailed. Like detailed clean. Like, and I could do that myself, but like really hit that back spot so it is super, 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 super clean. And then maybe not super glue, but it would be good to like put something that's just adhesive, so that if somebody went to pull it off, they'd be like, oh wait, that's not gonna come, and they would just kind of give up. Not to the point where they'd rip it off my car, because at that point I might as well super glue it. And then it's like, well, what if I ever want to actually take it off? Which, why would I ever want to take it off? Well, what if it got old and I wanted to put a new one on? Now I'm in trouble, right? So a couple things to think about with it. The new DVC sticker is just not, if I could get a couple of those magnets, but again, that's not a great ratio, once every 5 years. I've only been coming to Disney with my car for 3 years, so once every 3 years I won't be able to keep up with that. And it got me thinking, I'm like, damn, my little annual pass holder one too. I'm surprised I didn't just swipe both. Been a Ninja watcher for a long time, and you've watched all the live streamers. You are the most real streamer you've watched. You are, no phony front, just my opinion. Well, thank you, Marcella. That's very nice of you. I don't think that it's an overall kind of this is what I know. The people that I've always enjoyed watching the most: Norm, Letterman, Dave, not Letterman, Dave Matthews, Dave Letterman, Norm Macdonald, Dave Chappelle. I've always thought it's nice to just be real, you know? When I watch the Lenos and I watch the Jimmy Fallons, or not to compare it all to late night, but I do think it is the kind of epitome of having your own show, right? Quote unquote, putting on your own show. I'm always just been into somebody that's not really trying to put on a show. Although I think that that's the better thing, you know. I'm not trying to say it's like I think that that's the best thing to do. But yeah, I will say that it's, for me personally, I like when I feel like I know the person that I'm watching. Not that if I were to hear everything true about them, it would be like, oh, this is not even the person I thought I was watching. That's the opposite of what I would want to be. Because I would actually be terrified of that. You know, it would keep me in this state of like, my God, wait a minute. Everybody thinks I'm this, this, and this, but like anybody that really knew me would know that, you know, it's interesting. I always thought it'd be nice that if anybody I knew growing up, or my mom or my dad or whoever was in this chat that actually knew me, they'd be like, yep, that's all true. There's a couple, I think you can keep your private like private. I'm not trying to say that. I don't think you should share every single thing with the world. But I think that there's, if you're going to share or you're going to try to come from any kind of place, you want to at least try to be real about it. And if there are things that aren't YouTube friendly, because again, you have to remember that not just there's just a show, but it's not www.tomdoesdisney.com. It's YouTube, right? This is where it is. So you got to play by the rules. There's certain things I enjoy in my life that I don't necessarily talk right about on YouTube, right? Because they're not YouTube like friendly things. But you guys get the gist of it. The fun store. Me and Jenna, double entendres there. I mean, you know, I'm a normal ass dude. I mean, anybody that watches streams, they'd know that. You know what, like, my favorite compliment is usually when I get to see people, like, that I've got to know through the chats, is they'll be like, wow, Tom, like, you are, like, that's the same talking to you here as it is talking, like, when you talk to the chat, you're just, like, chatting. Like, I'm like, yeah. Like, because I wouldn't be hanging out talking to you if I didn't want to talk to you. I've gotten, I think in a lot of ways it's going to be important for me to just finish this up, and then I got to figure out, you know, something else. Something a little bit bigger than all this, you know, streaming, content creation. Again, Jenna's got $1 million idea, and if I could ever pull the trigger on it, I could pay back a lot of people in my life who have helped me get to this point, which is, I think, for the next 10 years, what I really need to focus on doing. The Pats, the Mikes, and the Mike and Lisas, the Sargentos, you know, there's a lot of people that Dawn. Again, we're not going to start talking about who I owe stuff to. I don't want anybody to catch feelings. A lot of people I owe a lot of stuff to. Well, there are 3 people in particular that I owe a tremendous amount to, and up on the top of that mountain is Pat. And at some point, it'd be nice to have $1 million idea so I could pay him back for so much of the stuff he's done for me, and, you know, maybe do something for him. I don't know what I could ever do for him, but something that's great and tremendous. You know, I could look at a guy like Sargento and not just say, hey, oh, here's a couch to sleep on, or a bed. You know, here's a DVC stay, or, you know, here's a steak, or here's whatever. I could be like, hey, you know, here's something big. You know, it'd be nice to be able to, or even, you know, honest to God, what would be nice would just be to able to, like, pay it forward kind of thing, you know? To be able to go to Disney in a different capacity. In 10 years from now, not be going to Disney every day to do what I do now. Go to Disney every day and, like, we drop $1,000 on, like, just doing nice things for people. All, like, for 4 hours. And we just make, and, like, it's going to be content still because I want to be a content creator, but that's the kind of content, you know? And it'll pay for itself and allow for even greater content to be made. Again, get to a point where if that's the goal in all of it, to really, like, take it by the reins. And to get it to that point, it's going to be a bigger adventure. But as I've said a million times, Jenna has $1 million idea, and we just need to figure out how to capitalize on it. I think it's very possible. It's not like it's outside of the realm of possibility. It just requires, well, a lot. It's not just one thing. It requires a few things. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Wouldn't we all love to be financially stable enough to do that? And in order to ever get to that place, I'd have to, again, make sure that the people that have helped me got here are all helped and paid back as well. But then to be able to pay that forward, to be able to say, okay, now it's time to help out other people, to be able to make their, experiences different. Like, wouldn't it be cool to, like, if again if you had the idea that made you the kind of money that you could do this kind of stuff, to be like, okay, what we're gonna do today is we're gonna like buy 10 pairs of ears, and we're just gonna go around and give them to every person who looks like they need a pair of ears, or and not to be into like, or guys too, like get the little hats or whatever, just like go give ears to people. Buy like wouldn't it be cool to have like one of those kind of videos? You know what I mean? Because here's the thing: is that there's no Mr. Beast, there's no Casey Neistat. The Disney community lacks. You know what it doesn't lack? Another streamer. You know what it doesn't lack? Another vlogger. You know what it doesn't lack? Another DFB, All Ears, Blog Mickey, WDWNT. It doesn't need any more of this shit because everybody just covers the same thing that the other person was covering. You know what I would love to see in the Disney community? And I am in no way close to able to do this. You may think otherwise. Literally every cent that I make through this channel goes into every bill that I have to pay. I have the Spirit jerseys and stuff that I get. That stuff is so into the budget of. I am closer to paycheck nowadays than I've ever been in my life. But I know for a fact that some of these cats are not. So I'm wondering, where's the video that's super viral of the guy or girl, whoever it is, that goes into Magic Kingdom and buys a whole thing of balloons and just takes the balloons from the person. And they go, oh, that'll be, $500. And you go, okay, ching. And you just walk around handing balloons to everybody. You know the people that do it? Actual content creators. Like people that have actually got content on their channel where they're actually making tons of money. And they're like, oh yeah, we picked up 3 people today and just went to Disneyland. And we took them to Disneyland. And we bought them whatever. That's... I don't know. I don't know if it's everybody else's goal. Maybe everybody else feels like they work so hard to get where they are that that's not where... I owe the universe to some extent. Not just the people that have helped me get here, but I owe the universe as well. In that way, that I need to... That should be a catalyst in and of itself to like go out and do that kind of stuff. And we try here and there. I'm not saying I've never done anything nice. We've had plenty of those moments with, okay, I'll get this, or I'll grab that for. I try my best. Bobby, I messaged you on Instagram. I've been waiting to see your name all day. I need to send the boxes. You're my last person whose address I need. Please send me your address on the Instagram tonight. Thank you. So I can send all the boxes tomorrow. I was going to send them this afternoon, but I was waiting on your box so everything can go tomorrow. Thank you very much. Message me on the Instagram. I think I found your profile. You'll see a message from me. You were the one person I was waiting to see here tonight. I said, if anybody sees Bobby, make sure you stop me dead in my tracks. Anyway, people can go back and watch this. I don't really think that my opinion on any of it matters more than anybody else. It's not like my synopsis of any of it is different. It's just from my own view. And again, piggybacking on a lot of things that other people have said this week. I'm just... It's like I watched a great movie and I'm quoting it for you, and throwing a little bit of my own opinion on it. I'm like, oh, remember when, Gandalf said, that is not for us to decide. What is for us to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. I really like that, and this is how I feel about it. And that's basically the same. I'm just quoting stuff I like, and Anyway, in a lot of ways, trust me, I could go on about it forever, but it's just what it is. Made myself a margarita, said Polly Steve. My man, what's up? How are you? Do you like Disney World or Disney Paris? God damn it, Naomi. That's what we need more of. Yeah. We need a lot more of it. The world's a weird place. You want me to turn the script on you a little bit? We're going to go from like one place to a whole different place. You ready for this? I often feel like Disney is an escape from reality. There's a reason that they don't sell newspapers on Disney property. You're supposed to feel detached from the rest of the world. I think in a lot of ways it does that to you when you move here and you become like a permanent Disney person. It kind of does that to your whole life. I feel like we often kind of forget that, like, you know, and it only takes, say, like a trip to the dog park where you try to break up a fight and some guy locks, you know, we're not even going to get into it, but it only takes you to step outside of the bubble for a moment to realize, like, damn, the world is this crazy place. So in a lot of ways, whatever kind of success you can find here at Disney World, TikToking, Instagramming, YouTubing, flipping merch, travel sales, whatever it is, good for you. Because as much as I hate on it, and I think there's so many things that could do better, there's no greater escape from reality. Gaming, of course, but it's not as immersive because it's a game. Disney's like an actual place where you can actually go and walk around. So when it loses that, then Disney will be doomed. But I don't think it ever will. I don't think it'll ever lose, you know. Even when you're miserable, you're still not, you're not the same miserable. I like to quote, again, I'll quote SNL. I can keep quoting stuff I love. We can take you on a hike. We cannot make you like hiking. If you're not strawberry eaters in the Marinaks, why do you think you're going to be in Sicily? We can take you on a wine tour. We cannot change why you drink. You know, you watch enough stuff and you start to think, like, really how goddamn insignificant, first of all, you are in the first place. And then you start to wonder what kind of importance you're putting on things and why in the world you put any kind of importance on anything. Because at the end of the day, what the hell, most of it's out of your control completely. I've run into almost like a wall, you know, of I can't probably go any further down this path of what I'm trying to say. But I understand it. I guess. And that's really all that matters. Do you understand? Ari's looking at me like, yeah, of course I do, man. I get it. Also, if you can't tell, I've had a decent amount of Uncle Tito's today. Uncle Tito and I have been partying it up for quite a few hours now. Let me give you, in terms of what we're talking about, just a little. I was looking at I've been watching The Orville. Good show. Seth MacFarlane. Super funny guy, right? I always loved Family Guy. I thought American Dad was whatever. And I thought Ted was great. I thought Ted was a really funny movie. I thought Ted 2 was okay. I like him when he was the roast master for Trump, during Donald Trump's roast. I like when he was on SNL. I like every interview I've ever seen him in. Funny guy. Talented. This show showcases his talent in a way that none of his other shows do. I finished the show today, season 3. And I'm like, wow, that was a good, but kind of open-ended, ending. I wonder what's going on. Is the show, what's up with season 4? I go to search. It's like, oh, season 4 is probably not even going to happen. There's no official word, but for months and months, really since last year, everybody's like, oh, it's, we don't know. It's not canceled, but it's not coming. I don't understand, what people even watch. Why is it that something like that that's so good just flies under the radar? Not that it's The Last of Us or anything. It's not it's not Succession. It's not House of Dragons. It's not Stranger Things. I think about how much talent that guy has. Norm, why do you think I love guys like Norm and Mike Doty so much? It's a pattern in my life. The people who are so genius and so not famous blow my mind, because they are the exceptions to the rule. Usually, if you're talented, success comes alongside of it. So the people who I find when they showcase their most talent and it's met with unsuccessfulness is interesting. And it's always in media, especially, and in art. Artists who weren't popular during their lives, but Edgar Allan Poe, a good example of that, died in a gutter. And then later on became, revered. It's interesting. I think in a lot of ways, the fact that what you do, no matter if you're making a blockbuster movie or you're writing a song, it's all about when people receive it, how do they receive it? Did they receive your song so well that they're begging for it, playing it every day, and the next thing you know, you've got a golden hour on your hands, and you're this kid from left field who, just through the pure power of TikTok and people wanting to use your song and liking it so much, you've got bangers. You're a Charlie Puth. Next thing you know, you're whether you like him or not, a Sam Smith or a Justin Bieber. What if you make a great movie and you think it's going to be great, and then it comes out and everybody's like, no, this was terrible. But it was I don't know. Was there more or less effort put into The Shawshank Redemption than any other movie? Of course not. Why is it the best? I don't know. Why did it? But most of the time it ends up being the way it's supposed to be, I think. There's a reason why up until last year, The Lord of the Rings had held that in the academy, if you're a movie making person, the greatest thing you can do is not just your block, how much money did it make, but they gave you awards, and you got the awards, and that's what mattered. And like, those movies were such a triumph. They sparked such a next generation of way of filming, that all the Harry Potter movies took on, and Marvel, and so many things that got, Endgame and Infinity War shot back to back as one movie. So many things have taken that and run with it. And not just that, but again, Pat, I keep talking about him, I'm gonna keep tooting his horn. He wrote a paper on, like, the program, the massive engine that they had to, it's called a massive, it's not the verb massive. Sorry, not the adjective massive, a noun massive. The program they had to write to just make some of the fight scenes, the battle scenes in Lord of the Rings. It deserved everything it got. And then everything everywhere all at once, I still haven't even watched it. I've seen clips. I just don't understand how that can be as deserving or more deserving than the greatest fantasy story of all time, and probably one of the greatest translations of book to film ever done. I feel like we're in an age of, like, nowadays the greatness almost doesn't balance off, like, you could just be somebody, I don't know. It's a fine line, man. It's a fine line. You just never have to forget that, like, Kim Kardashian is one of the most famous women on the planet. No offense to her, or people that like her. That's all you have to remember. Like 20 years ago, the most famous person in the world was like Michael Jordan. It's so weird to think that, like, across the globe, those names are almost like universally as recognized as each other. It would make you think that there's really not a secret to the sauce. Right? It would just make you think that there's something going on. Are there ever going to be any more Steven Spielbergs? I like Michael Giacchino. I like Danny Elfman. I certainly love Howard Shore. I know there's great composers out there. Will there ever be another John Williams? There's never going to be like another Walt Disney. We already know that, because it's been almost 100 years since the guy was, since the Disney company started 100 years ago. I mean, if it was going to happen, it's just, we do live in an era of, if you had asked this question 10 years ago, 20 years ago, will there ever be another, Stephen Hawking and Einstein and There are. Guys like Neil deGrasse Tyson, guys like Brian Cox, even whether you like him or not, guys like Elon Musk, guys like Zuckerberg, smart dudes, forward thinkers, and pavers of the future. Very recently, up until recently, not recently by any means, but in terms of the big scope, guys like Steve Jobs. Forward thinkers, people that talk, got the other people to do what they do. However you think about these people. In technology, it's like they're not going anywhere. We don't have to worry about that. Like, we are going to get to the moon. Right? Like, we will go fully electric as a country, as a society. You know, AI, robotics, all these things will happen. And they'll happen on the backbones of. But I think the greatest art seems to be like in the past. You know? The 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 genius is always going to be rewarded. But the genius in art isn't necessarily always rewarded anymore. If you look at who makes the big movies nowadays, like I like James Cameron. I don't think he's a bad guy. But he's not Spielberg and he's not Scorsese and I mean, he's, even though I don't like some of these guys, he's certainly not Ridley Scott, and he's, I don't know, you know, I suppose there are still guys at work that are very good at what they do. Tim Burton did Wednesday last year, and it was very well received, and from what I saw, expertly done, but I just, what about him? He's only got a time clock on him, too. What about Tarantino? He says 10 movies and he's done, so that's one more. I mean, what when these guys are done, like, there's nobody at the reins of this next generation. You know, the J.J. Abrams and the James Cameron. James Cameron's old, for the record. And, not just that, but all these guys like Peyton Reed or the Russo brothers or Brian Coogler. I mean, I'm not saying that I didn't like Creed. I love Creed. I think Black Panther's great. I think that he's got a good track record. I like Jordan Peele. I think he's doing a great job. He's very visionary in that way. He's kind of got a Hitchcock vibe to him. There is no modern day up-and-comers like that. You know, it just seems like nowadays what everybody is who's famous and popular is because of social media content that they create. And not just that, the Kardashians, I mean, it was TV that got them famous. But then piggybacked on social media. It's almost like, why work hard? You understand? Why work hard? If you can put out a Star Wars movie as bad as The Last Jedi, and people will pay $1 billion+ to see it, why would you strive for anything better? Well, I think Disney realized that the reason is because Solo and The Rise of Skywalker, even though it made a considerable amount of money, both of those movies were not what they could have been, and that the downward spiral had begun. And it's not, as I've discussed a million times, it's not just a bad state of fandom in general. That's a byproduct of the bigger picture. It's like everybody's just got 30 seconds for Reels, 20 seconds for their TikTok videos. Like, nobody's got time. And when you hear about a great show like House of Dragons, like, most people who are watching it are older. When I was young, like, we loved that stuff. Lost and Breaking Bad and The Sopranos. Like, I wasn't on my phone when that stuff was. I don't know. Rob, how you doing, buddy? The new Scorsese movie is supposed to be, yeah, of course, they've all been great. Art genius has died because we've lost true uniqueness and differentiation, not variation. Differentiation. One of one people, not replicating. One of two true genius people. That's a good point. God damn, you almost got me on those differentials. Lack the attention span to watch anything longer than 15-second reels, yet they sit and watch these 15-second reels on social media platforms for hours. Yeah. Why can't they use puppets and real backdrops? No one wants to see CGI. Well, here's the problem, is I think that even what's crazy is, let's stay on Star Wars. Let's just stay on Star Wars, because we all know about it. The season 3 of The Mandalorian, pound for pound, is the best looking Star Wars that has ever existed. You could tell by far the most effort has been put into this. I don't know about money or whatever, just the most care. It was not very well received. People weren't dying to watch it every week. Why? Because again, even off of Cassian Andor, which was good, we got burnt by the Kenobi show. We had to sit through what was the other thing? Boba Fett. It was all so bad. There isn't any. I can't tell you the last great movie I saw. And I actually watch plenty of movies. I appreciate the value of things like Squid Game when they come along. I'll sit there and watch the whole damn thing in Korean. You know, even though it's way outside of my wheelhouse to be watching foreign stuff, I'll be like, this no wonder. You know? And I can see the originality to something like that. But then all I can think to myself is, I bet you it'll be the same thing as Stranger Things. It'll be like it just gets worse as it goes, just like everything. You like Nobody with Bob Odenkirk. It came out last year. Okay. Hi Amy, how you doing? Do we really need Jabba in episode 4? Yeah, you do. No, those cuts are good. There's a lot of that stuff, adding the dewbacks and adding it's the after the sequels, after the prequels came out, those cuts I have a harder time dealing with. Not the 95 to 97 cuts. I have a tough time with the prequel cuts. Like when they add the Dougs in everywhere, it's like, it becomes so ridiculous sometimes watching those movies. You know, like you cannot pigeonhole in another CGI thing into this, can you? And then at the end of the episode, at the end of Return of the Jedi, it's like, actually, yeah, you ready to go back to Naboo? A place we haven't seen in 3 movies, and technically never existed if you would watch the first 3 of these. Like, it's so funny. Gungans on top of the thing dancing. Crazy. He's, you know, I like George Lucas, but the guy's... He's a shrewd businessman, but he's not like I don't think he's certainly not even my favorite Star Wars creator, quote unquote. I would say I like Steve Zahn, but all my money's always been in Dave Filoni, always. Who's Ahsoka's character? Is it George Lucas? No, Filoni's character. Based in a world that Lucas created, but still, you know, he's always had the reins, and he's always done such a good job, and he learned from George, and I just think he has a better mind for it all. Don't forget, George Lucas didn't even direct this, you know, Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back. Like I don't know. George he's an interesting guy. But it's weird that, like, he and Spielberg got, like, tied together in this way, right? That they're always mentioned in the same breaths. Indiana Jones really... George Lucas, as whatever part he had in it, whether it was his baby or not, he has no idea how well that worked out for him, that being able to, like, jump in with Spielberg at that time and be able to, like, associate himself in that way. It's given him way more credit than he's ever deserved. American Graffiti's not even that great of a movie. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I dare you to watch American Graffiti and tell me it's something that you feel like you need to see. But the moves he pulled with, you know, with Fox, with 21st Century Fox, between the merchandising and the ability to control the sequels was the most shrewd business shit, and they made, you know, genius. That's where his genius is, in my opinion. It's not because he, you know, Like when I listen to George Lucas sometimes talk about Yoda and stuff, like how he like came up with Yoda because like he needed somebody else after Obi-Wan died, and then he was like, it wasn't even supposed to be this guy. I'm like, come on, man. You should have been starting at Yoda. What are you talking about? I don't even think George Lucas understands Star Wars, and I know it's just a hubris statement. It sounds so dumb, but in terms of what we've all gotten after, I just feel like we all, as Star Wars fans, know more of what we care about with Star Wars, and that's influenced him. You know, when you look at some of his more later stuff that he was working on with the Wills, even though that's what the original title for Star Wars was, and they were in those original concepts, he didn't lean into them. And that's where I think George Lucas fails at being a genius. He had genius ideas, but instead he went for this, like, Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, like, you know, got a Odysseus, you know, Luke Skywalker against the world, like, journey, which was just like the hero's journey in space. It was like a, you know, it's just, it's not the religion that was based around it, which is all about these tenets. And like when you watch things like that came after, you play the games, it's all about the Force, you know, and the idea that the Jedi, not even, it's not about one person or one species, it's about this whole encompassing idea of good and evil, and it's deeper than all that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's good that when, you know, you ask people like who, if Jeff's in the chat, you know, credit to him again. Shout out to Pat. This didn't come from me, but apparently Jeff was saying the Beatles were overrated. It's funny, that cracks me up. It's probably the most absurd thing I've ever heard. And it's nice when the greatest things are easy to pick out, right? It's like, I like when people say, what's the greatest, like, fantasy novel ever written? People say Harry Potter. Some people say, you know, but most people say Lord of the Rings. It's nice when people say, who's the greatest band ever? People like, usually they're like, Zeppelin, the Beatles, the Who, Stones, Floyd. But the Beatles. It's nice when you say, you know, what's the greatest soda of all time? People tell you Coca-Cola. Some people say Pepsi. Some people say Dr. Pepper. What's Coca-Cola? It's nice when the obvious choice is the obvious choice. Even if there's a second contender, you know, LeBron versus Michael, PlayStation versus Xbox. I guess that's a little, iPhone versus Android, if you were to look at the numbers. There's always kind of like a clear winner on what is the best thing. It's because that's where everybody's at. So I still continue to believe that if by that standard, pure standard of if the most people are coming, i.e. more people are buying tickets to this movie, you know, if these next round of things aren't great, then they'll see those results at the box office, as they are with the MCU right now. Nothing's foolproof. Not even, let's kick it back down to YouTube. Not even a guy like PewDiePie's foolproof. You know? Eventually somebody's going to pass you. Not just that, but your content's going to drop. You're going to have controversy. Like, no, nothing's foolproof. Nothing's forever. And I think that's why ultimately when you hear me have these kind of conversations, I always lean back towards the Lettermans of the world. That's the guy I respect the most because he just did it forever and he stayed on his game and he never let any of it change. And when he had problems, he sat down in front of the camera and he said, hey, listen, I got in trouble and I don't want you to hear it from somebody else. I want you to hear it from me. And I'm not proud of myself and I made mistakes. I'm a human being. And I'm here to entertain you. Let's talk about what's going on. Let's chat. I don't know. That's always been the guy I've respected the most. How about you? Could you be any cuter out here with your toy, just laying down on it? What are you doing? Wanna bring me? You going inside? Have you had enough? We've been out here for an hour and 15 minutes. I think that's a long time to be sitting outside. I agree. I concur. The storm's over now anyway. I'm sure it looks like it's coming back in, but for now it's past. So, fun talk. Cheers. Again, huge shout out to my buddy Pat for inspiring me to talk about a lot of this stuff today when I was watching him this morning. And a shout out to Josh and Jenna. They're live tonight. Go watch them. But a shout out to Josh for also putting up some videos this past few weeks about just, you know, a little bit more real talk, which I like. I like hearing this from people. You guys all rock. Polly, Steve, Beth, Lori, everybody else who's in the chat. I'm sure there's plenty of you, the Alyssas of the world, and the Paul the Wolf, my man. Sargento, thanks for the PayPal. Anybody else who donated, I will make sure that I get my other phone and I put those into the weekly goal. Amy, thank you. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'd like to build some Lego tomorrow. Saturdays. I'd like to stay on the Saturday Lego. I know we didn't do it last week, but that's because I didn't want to jump right off of that big Giza set without jumping into another bigger set. Gotta figure it out. Shutting up because I'm starting to sound like an idiot. Cheers. Good night.